to show you how we make summer berry jam. For that matter, you could make any flavored jam that you happen to enjoy. It's very simple. You could just follow the recipe. The reason I wanted to insert a video here and make sure to show you how it's done is because a lot of people get nervous or uncomfortable with the way that the chia looks when they soak it. Now, chia, when you add fluid to it, will definitely swell up. It'll get like an outer gelatinous sort of texture to it. And that gelatinous portion of the seed can get, geez, up to 9 to 10 times its size. It swells massively. So if you add less liquid, it's going to get more firm and jello-like. That's sort of what we're going for here today. We have 3 tablespoons of chia seeds that has been added to a half a cup of organic fresh apple juice. Okay, so you can see what we've got here is kind of gloopy. It looks like a mixture of hair gel and some sort of glue we might have used in preschool, and that's good. That's exactly what we're going for. Now, in some other recipes that you see for chia, you might see raw chefs will sometimes try to use it almost like a jello, and they'll add fruit to it, but they'll let the chia get much, much bigger. Because we're trying to go for a consistency of jam here, we're really replicating fruit pectin with chia. So we're not going to use fruit pectin, we're only going to use the chia. So we want a little bit more gloppy sort of texture to it. Now, I will forewarn you that you cannot eat chia seeds just as they are, or I don't believe that you should. And the reason for that is because they swell so much, like that 9 to 10 times size, is because they hold so much water. And so if you just sprinkle chia seeds on a salad, and I've actually gotten an email from someone who did that, you will find yourself feeling quite dehydrated because they're going to soak up so much moisture in your body. So soak them, definitely. Find recipes that include them soaked, even if they're pulsed to a powder first, like in a food processor or in your Vitamix. They should have some fluid in those recipes before you consume them, okay? So don't worry about it. It's going to look sort of funky and scary and like something out of a science project. That's exactly what we're going for. This took about half an hour maybe to get this soft. But if you had more water, the more fluid, I added juice, but you could also add water or any other flavored juice that you like. If you wanted a nice tangy tartness to this, you could add like a orange juice or something like that. A tangerine juice would just give this a totally different flavor. So feel free to mix it up. I have blueberries and strawberries that I'm going to use in my recipe today, and I'm going to also flavor it with some acai, not just for flavor, but for all the superfood benefits that come with acai. So I'm going to add that to my jam, but again, you could use anything that you wanted. You could use nectarines or you could use peaches. Something like peaches or nectarines are a good example of something you want to make sure to add a natural preservative to. Just lemon juice is fine, so that they don't brown, okay? But this one won't brown really at all. It's really easy. So we're going to take our fruit first. Now that you've seen the texture that should reach, go ahead and put 1 cup of fresh fruit into your Vitamix. And before we add the chia seeds, we're actually going to get this fruit to a texture that we like. Now, I'm going to add the lemon juice now. Not only is this a great just natural preservative, we want about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon juice. And then we're going to sweeten it to taste, and we're going to add the acai. But first, we just really want the texture that we're looking for in a regular jam. Now, if you're a jelly sort of person, then you might want this really smooth. I personally like my jams nice and chunky and full-bodied, so I only want to run this on a really low level. So I have my Vitamix set to variable. I have it all the way down to 1, and I'm going to turn it on so it comes to a nice hum. And I'm just going to use the tamper to push the bigger strawberries down toward the blade. And I do not want to do this quickly. I don't want to just crank it up to 10 and get that texture real fast, because I'll end up with a lot of liquid smoothie-like berries at the bottom. Excuse me. And that's what I don't want. I want a nice, firm texture all the way through. So I've got this up now at about 3, and that's plenty. We'll just let it go until we see that it's at the texture that we like. So now I've got a nice texture that it's smooth enough to spread on toast, but it certainly still has some chunks in there. You're going to see the, halves and quarters of blueberries in there, and that's just the way that I like it. But again, if you want it smoother, run it longer, run it higher, and it'll get smoother. Now it's going to come time to sweeten this to taste. In order to do that, you have to go ahead and add the acai in there if you want it, and the acai is optional. I like making sure I get that in my family's diet in the morning. This is a great dish to top your oat groats with. Just put some, few tablespoons of oat groats and some fresh berries that you have in your fridge, and top it with a little bit of this, and you'll have a happy, happy family. Okay, now we have the acai already in there, and we have the chia already in there. So now it's going to be time to sweeten it. Now we could run it first and taste it and see how sweet it is, but I already know that these berries, although very sweet and delicious, could definitely use a little bit more sweeteners. So I'm going to go ahead and start with about a tablespoon of raw honey. And that ought to do it for me, but you may want to take it up to 2 tablespoons if your kids or you really have a sweet tooth in the morning. And I don't want you to be concerned about adding a little bit of sugar or adding the sugar, the natural sugars that are in this jam. Because if you're switching from, really processed commercial jams that have either a ton of sugar or, God forbid, high fructose corn syrup, this is a baby step in the right direction. It's still sweetener, and your body's still going to have to offset that sweetness, but this is a much better way to go, especially when you're using the raw honey, because you also get the raw enzymes, which is antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial, and the enzymes are real easy for your body to process this too. So let's go ahead and mix this up. Again, I'm taking it back down to 1 because I don't want it to get to a smoothie. And then you can literally pour this right back into the same container that you soaked your chia into. Okay, and when you put this in the fridge, it's going to firm up even a little bit more. But you can see that the texture is already perfectly spreadable. If you wanted to pop that on a yummy flax cracker or on a toasted piece of Ezekiel bread, you would be all set. Just scrape this down here. Now, like I said, the consistency here now, very spreadable, but it is going to firm up a little bit in the fridge. And you may notice that it will be a slightly darker color on the top. The lemon juice will keep it essentially preserved, so the color should stay about the same, but that's fine. Just go ahead and stir it on in when you serve it up, and it makes a great topping. Now, again, it makes a great topping for the oat groats in the morning, which is delicious. Another great topping, it also makes a great topping for ice cream. So if you're doing any of the raw ice creams or anything like that, you can top the ice cream with that. It's delicious, and it makes a delicious sweetener for a salad. There's actually a berry dressing that you'll be able to try this week as well. And so you can add a little bit of olive oil and balsamic vinegar to that, and salt and pepper, and it makes a delicious, slightly sweet dressing as well. So that's how you make the summer berry jam. If you have any questions, please post them below and I will get back to you as soon as possible.